On this episode of China Uncensored, from Russia with love. China's richest man is retiring and headed to the beach. And how to adjust your watch to terrorism time. This is China Uncensored. Hi, welcome to China Uncensored. I'm your host, Chris Chappell. President Trump's trade war with China has the Communist Party worried. China's Shanghai Stock Exchange has hit a 31-month low. Trump is asking big American companies to move production back to the United States. And he wants to put even more tariffs on China. And you know what that means. A stronger alliance between America's two biggest rivals, China and Russia. Xi Jinping and Vladimir, no relation to Dracula, Putin, met on the sidelines of the Eastern Economic Forum. What could these two masterminds of evil possibly come together to do? Why, shopping! And making pancakes. Wow, Xi Jinping is so much better at it than Putin. Be sure to load up on the caviar. Two kinds. You boys deserve a treat. That's the happiest I've ever seen Xi Jinping, since that one time he got to hold that really big cucumber. Now, while making pancakes together may not seem sinister or evil, may I just point out to you, metal utensils on non-stick pans? No! This is what we're up against, people. Anyway, in between the shopping and cooking, Xi Jinping did suggest both countries should continue investing in energy, agricultural products, tourism, infrastructure, and education, while also emphasizing that, China is open for international cooperation and is willing to study opportunities with other countries. Speaking of international cooperation, Putin also gave Xi Jinping a ticket to the gun show. No, not that gun show. This gun show. Russia just hosted its biggest war game since the fall of the Soviet Union, and Putin invited his pancake buddy to join in. It was a massive exercise near the Russia-China border. Russia and China have hosted joint war games before, but this was by far the biggest. They mobilized 300,000 troops. China's defense ministry said, "Don't worry, the games were only focused on defenses, firepower strikes, and counterattack, and were not directed against any third party." You hear that, President Trump? Not directed at any third party. But while the war games were going on along one Russia-China border, the U.S. has expressed its concern with another area near China's border, Xinjiang. The U.S. State Department expressed concern over the worsening crackdown on Uyghur Muslims there. That's right, the Trump administration is expressing concern about the treatment of Muslims. Apparently, they're even considering putting sanctions on Chinese officials who've been persecuting them. But the Chinese Communist Party hit back, saying, whoa, there's no religious persecution in China.
The Chinese government guarantees freedom of religion for its citizens in accordance with the law. All peoples of China fully enjoy freedom of religion in accordance with the law.
My gosh, he didn't even bat an eyelash. I think Shelley has some competition for the ultimate straight man. Meanwhile, China is drafting a law to crack down on chaotic online religious info. My favorite Chinese state-run media, the Global Times, says the draft law is very timely because religious information on the Chinese internet is chaotic due to the illegal promotion of some extreme forces and cults. Basically, if you want to talk about religion online, you need a license, and no more live streaming. But remember,
all peoples of China fully enjoy freedom of religion in accordance with the law.
Speaking of saying one thing and doing another, the Chinese regime has approached the World Trade Organization for permission to sanction the U.S. The same World Trade Organization whose rules China has violated dozens of times. China's push for sanctions is based on a 2013 complaint it made about the anti-dumping duties the U.S. had put on China. They were designed to offset the artificially low cost of Chinese imports that were undercutting U.S. manufacturing. But how the U.S. calculated those dumping duties was found to have been illegal in a string of trade disputes brought to the WTO. But don't worry, those sanctions on the U.S. won't be happening anytime soon. It is likely to lead to years of legal wrangling. Man, I can see why everyone just ignores the WTO. and why President Trump thinks it's the worst deal ever. No, seriously.
I would say the WTO was the single worst trade deal ever made. And if they don't shape up, I would withdraw from the WTO.
The world of Chinese business is incredibly murky, especially because of the close working relationship private businesses need to have with the Chinese government. So it definitely raised some eyebrows when Alibaba's CEO and richest man in China, Jack Ma, said he was retiring. Even Vladimir Putin was surprised. I mean, Putin didn't retire even when the law required him to. But considering the tendency for powerful business leaders in China to be purged and end up in detention, Jack Ma's retirement has some people wondering about whether he or his company might be in trouble. In China, businessmen who fly too high have the habit of falling out of favor with the ruling Communist Party. But Jack Ma says not to worry, there are no charges against him and he's not going to prison. He just wants to hand over the company to younger leadership so he can have a chance to live life. As he put it, he'd rather die on the beach than in his office. Die on the beach? In China? Dying in the office actually doesn't sound so bad. Anyway, speaking of having a chance to live life, 3 offices related to family planning have closed down. Family planning in China is a euphemism that refers to the Communist Party-run offices that control how many children you're allowed to have. And if you try to have too many, they help make sure mom gets an abortion, whether she likes it or not. But China's population is getting old, and there aren't enough young people anymore. That's why the Communist Party is doing away with the family planning office that implemented the famous one-child policy and then the two-child policy. But while policies change, the Communist Party isn't planning to relax control. They're just replacing the family planning offices with a new office for population monitoring and family development. That doesn't sound creepy at all. It will be responsible for improving birth policy and to organize implementation and to establish and improve the system of extraordinary family assistance for family planning. Okay, yeah, that's sounding really creepy now. A man in China's western region of Xinjiang has been detained on terrorism charges. Is it because he's a Muslim? No. Was he plotting a terrorist attack? Also no. It was much more serious. He had set his watch 2 hours behind Beijing time. You see, even though China covers what normally would stretch across 5 time zones, the Chinese Communist Party decided long ago that all official clocks must be set to Beijing time. So 9 a.m. in Xinjiang might not even have daylight yet. That's why people in Xinjiang also keep their own informal local time, so things make sense. But insisting that things make sense is also a subtle way to subvert the central authorities. But really, in a region where the paramilitary is employing surveillance cameras and even drones to watch your every move, it's probably worth setting your watch to the official time. And now, it's that time when we answer questions from fans who support the show on the crowdfunding website Patreon. With YouTube demonetization, we basically rely entirely on viewer support. So, this is our way of saying thank you. David Michael White asks, Matt, what is your Chinese zodiac sign?
Dog.
Thanks for your question, David. And remember, when you support this show, like with $1 per episode, which is less than the price of a cup of coffee, by the way, you'll be making a huge difference. Head over to patreon.com/China Uncensored to learn more, and check out all the other perks we'll give you. Thanks for watching this episode of China Uncensored. Once again, I'm your host, Chris Chappell. See you next time. Oh, hi. You're still here. I guess you must really want more. In that case, I'd say check out our new podcast, China Unscripted. The whole team talks China with some of the leading experts. You'll love it. Subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and even YouTube. Once again, that's China Unscripted.